Live from Atlanta, Georgia, it's the Zach Ballinger Show, where we help you find your direction through passion and purpose. My name is Zach Ballinger. I'm your host. Thank you guys so much for joining us today. Two ways you can interact with the show. We are streaming live via YouTube. If you have any questions for me or my guests, pop them into the comment box. We'll make sure to get to them as the show rolls along. Before any interview, you can always email me, Zach at zachballinger.com. We'll make sure to get to those. This 2021 is about you. We are talking to you about your career, your development, your pathway. If you've got any questions for me and my expert today, today's a great time to answer. Nothing's off limits as far as career development. There is no dumb questions. A lot of times, if you guys have the same questions out there, somebody else has that exact same question. So do not be shy about asking those questions. Without further ado, Edgar, thank you so much for joining the show today.
Thank you for having me, Zach. Really appreciate the opportunity to be here and looking forward to some great conversation.
Great. Before we jump into the questions, can you tell me a little bit about yourself and what you do?
Sure. So I am, again, my name is Edgar Butler. I am a, by day, if you want to say, talent acquisition specialist with a large insurance firm. And then I'm also on the side, a career coach. Some call it a motivational speaker, an inspirational speaker. I'm also an author. And really, I just love helping people within their career, for one, and then just helping people in life in general. I think that there has to be a balance, right? I heard a quote one time before that says, you can't work so hard on trying to become a public success that you end up being a private failure. And so I try to balance the two with just helping people, encouraging them both in their personal life as well as their professional career. So some even call that a life coach, but I just say that I'm here to help people. I'm a servant.
Awesome. So I think it's kind of cool that you come from the talent acquisition perspective as well as a career coach, because not a lot of people have that dual role. So I think you'll be very valuable in helping our audience today. So I appreciate you joining. The first question comes in, says, is there certain algorithms that companies use to filter out keywords in resume searches?
So that's an interesting topic that I think we see a lot right now, especially on, the social media sites, LinkedIn, definitely a big one. And so it really depends on the organization and how they have their, what we call applicant tracking system or ATS system set up. So there are some organizations that may have it set up to where the system will scan resumes to pull out for keywords that may move certain candidates like up to the top, or may even in some instances filter them out. But it really depends on the organization. So what I like to tell people is not a one size fits all. And so just as one of the organizations that I work with, there is a system in place, but it does not filter out by keywords to say kick people out. It does filter in, and it may parse things to pull out to say that, oh, yes, this candidate is a good match maybe for this role or that role, but it doesn't kick people out. And so every resume that's coming in is being looked at by a human. But you do have some organizations that do have a system that has been turned on by their applicant tracking system that may parse certain keywords out and say that this candidate is a good match or this candidate may not be. And so it really comes down to the organization.
Gotcha. Thank you for that answer. And also, do people look at, I always use this statistic that average hiring manager in North America looks at a resume about 6 seconds. What have you found in your experience? How long are resumes really looked at?
And that's a great question, Zach. And I think throughout this conversation, we may hear an underlying theme with myself is that I just never like to peg everything as just is this way or that way. I don't think it is that black and white. You do have so many different recruiters that play. There's different layers that play into the hiring process. So you have some jobs that are direct hire by recruiter. You have some that they're the first point of contact, and then they may move candidates forward to a hiring manager at, in that final step. And so within that, depending on the role that or the step that this person is in, if the recruiter is doing the final hiring, the direct hiring, they may spend a little bit more time looking at that resume because the responsibility is on them to make sure that they're getting the best candidate. Now, if they're just the first point of contact to see if this candidate is a good match based on the skills and experience, yes, they may be scanning over the resume. And so at that time, there is like, a quick, if you want to say 60 seconds or whatever the average is. And so they may be looking at it a little quicker, but I think it is what step is the person in within that process, and what responsibility does the person have that is reviewing that resume. And so within that, again, I just don't want to put, a one size fits all that, yes, they're all looking at them at 60 seconds and glancing over them and they're moving them on. The other thing that I would say to that as well is how many people are being hired for the role and how many candidates do you have applying? Because if you only have 5 to 10 candidates, why should I only have to spend 60 seconds just to move through them? I have a little bit more time to be able to actually go in and review those candidates a little bit closer. Whereas the person that may have, like one of the organizations that I work with, there's been times where we put up a job for 30 candidates, and now within 5 days, we have over 800 people apply. So yes, scanning those it has to move a lot quicker to be able to get through them and get to those competitive candidates. So I really think it depends on who has the responsibility to make some of those final decisions, and then what step in the process is that candidate on, and who's reviewing it, and that determines how long they're going to spend on that resume.
That's such a great point, because maybe your initial front line is like that, where they look at them really quick. But, I know even in competitive world that I come from in pharmaceutical sales, when one territory opens up, there's typically about 200 candidates that will apply for the job. And so, but by the time they filter the candidates down, 3 to 5 candidates really stand out in the HR or the talent acquisition's mind. Those 3 to 5 resumes get sent directly to the hiring manager. I'm sure they're looking at them more than the 6-second frame. Now, I've heard from some hiring managers that I've interviewed, sometimes they don't show up to the interview, and then they let the candidate guide them through the resume as they talk. So there's a lot of different nuances as well. I'm glad you brought that up.
Yes. Great point.
The next question comes in. It says, where is the best place to apply? I am a college student for an internship or a part-time job. What's the best platform you recommend?
That's an interesting question, because I think it really depends on what is the opportunity that you're looking for. What field are you in? And so that's going to kind of determine maybe where you are going to apply and where you're going to be able to find those relationships. And so one thing that I'm very big on is not just apply. And I know that is the thing that we would probably go to first, right? That's the first inclination of saying, man, that's like, I need to get a job. I need to get an internship. So I'm just going to apply. But I think we really need to be a little bit more focused on, where do you want to work? What are the organizations that you have an interest in? What are some of the organizations, just from reading up on their culture, that you feel that you would be a good fit, but also be able to add to the culture? So it is an environment that you think that you would be able to benefit from, that you would work in, and from that organization you would be able to learn from. So based on that I think kind of determines where you want to start connecting with people, right? And then from there, where do you actually want to apply? So there are some organizations that may direct you to say, apply directly on our site. So for instance, Handshake is very big in the college world, but not every organization's system is set up to where you apply on Handshake and it filters into their company's career site. And so from that, you may be able to see a job posting on Handshake, but you may have to actually go to the company's website to apply. Some companies utilize LinkedIn to put jobs, some companies don't. And so it really just depends on what organization that you're looking at. Do your research and your homework of where they're actually finding their candidates, where are the candidates having the most success, and where can I build those relationships to connect with people that are in decision-making seats. And then that will help guide me to where it is that I need to apply and how I need to go about it to make sure that I'm putting myself in the best position possible.
Great answer, Edgar. And for the college students out there listening, a lot of career services, they use this platform called Handshake. It should be introduced to you either as a freshman or a sophomore. It's really the university system where if employers are looking to hire college students, it's almost like their own Indeed or their Monster or their own LinkedIn Jobs, where students can go on there and apply. And that's a great platform to use as well. But like Edgar said, the key is networking. I think too, Edgar, a lot of times I talk to people that are frustrated that keep applying to jobs, and they said, well, the definition of insanity is you keep doing the same thing, expect the same results. And the reason is you don't have a key contact. And really, that's what LinkedIn is all about. I think it's made it really easy. Maybe for me and you at our age, we actually had to go hand to hand. I mean, we had to go in front of people and say, "Hey, my name is Zach. This is what I want to do with my career. Can I connect with you? Do you have a business card?" Now it's all become online. It's become a lot easier through LinkedIn. To that point, we did have a question that comes in. A student asked, I'm an introvert. It's very hard for me to reach out to somebody directly. Do you have any tips on getting over that fear on LinkedIn?
Yes. And so there's a couple of things that I would say. Right now, with us having to go into this virtual environment, almost every person's business, networking, relationship building, all of that had to be transitioned over into an online space at some point, right? To some degree. And so within that, I like to tell people the playing field has now been leveled. It's just the experiences are different, right? So the playing field's the same, but the experience levels are different. And so within that, that means that there's a lot of people having to network online. But the great thing about it is being able to actually send something out kind of removes that first barrier of having to just go up and having a conversation with someone just out of the blue. So some people are not comfortable with that. But what online allows you to do is to be able to create and craft a speech or an opening or a greeting that you would want to send to someone, and then also gives you some time to kind of sit back to say, okay, if they respond, then let me get my thoughts together of what is going to be my next move and what's going to be my next step, even before getting to having a verbal conversation with them. And so it's a little bit easier to be able to kind of test some things out by creating some greetings and see what works, right? Some things you may have to tweak. You may be sending certain things out and it may not be getting your responses. So you may have to tweak some things. I also like to tell people, don't get discouraged when you send something out, a greeting out, or you try to connect with someone and they don't respond back. Now, you want to make sure that you're greeting in the right way. You're doing all that you can. But if you don't get a response back, guess what? I'm an HR professional. I reach out to some people and I still don't even get a response back. So you can't take those things personal. Some people are truly busy. Some people, to be honest with you, I'm just to be totally honest, I'm very transparent. Some people are not going to respond. That's just the life that we have, the world that we live in. But it's not personal against you, like they don't like you. It's just they're not responding to hardly anyone. And so make sure that you have the right greeting and pitch. So I tell people on LinkedIn, don't just send a blank request. Myself being a recruiter, I get a lot of requests, but I need to know what is the reason why we're connected. Are you trying to sell me something? Are you looking for a job opportunity? Did you see me talk somewhere or something interest you? But just as you wouldn't just walk up to a person and say, hey, I want a job, you would have some kind of opening to them. So it's the same way when you're doing it online. So when you're reaching out and you're trying to connect with someone, give them the reason, right? Maybe you've been following them for a while. And so this is one of the things that I use. I may follow a person for a while because just because I saw one post from them that I thought was good doesn't necessarily mean that everything that they're saying is something that's going to resonate and connect with me. And we may have different interests. And so what I do is I'll follow a person for a while just to kind of get a feel, or I'll go to their page and look at some of their prior posts to see if this is something that I have an interest or connection in, that they're providing some valuable and beneficial information for me. And then if that's the case, one of my greetings or connection pitches with them is, hi, Zach, I've been following you for, a couple of weeks now. Really been interested in the post that you've been putting up. I think it's been very beneficial and it's helped me, even within my career. I would love to stay connected with you and see if we could, maybe have a conversation, in the near future about your career path or about some of the openings or about some of the topics that you've posted, just to get a little bit further detail on it, if you would be open to that. And so now that kind of lets them know, like, oh, okay, they've been following me. They have an interest in some of the things that I'm saying. And so it kind of opens up that door. So that's one of the things that I would say is online, Now you have the opportunity to create something that you don't have to feel so uncomfortable by just walking up to a person first. Craft something, make sure that it's beneficial, it's opening the door, send that out. If you're not getting responses, maybe you want to tweak some things, but don't take it personally, and to continue to move forward and continue those reach out. I know that's a long answer, but hopefully I was able to get to the point.
It's an amazingly great answer. I agree with you 100%. And I thought some of those tips were really good too. Let's face it, a lot of people, even if you reach out to them, a lot of people don't. I was talking to somebody the other day, they hadn't checked their LinkedIn profile in 10 years. So some people may have a LinkedIn profile, and that's why they're not responding. They're never on it. So you can't take things personal. Another thing too, I had a student reach out to me the other day where a relative knew me through my network, and he said, this is how I know you. Very nicely crafted email, said, can I get some time on your calendar at your convenience? No rush. Very polite. Absolutely. I don't turn those requests down. So we scheduled something, and a very polite young man asked me some questions about different types of careers. And at the end, what was so impressive about him, just being a senior in college, he asked me, is there anything I can do for you, sir?
Wow.
And, just that, he wasn't that pure intent of him trying to help me as well. Because a lot of college students think, well, they can't help me. Well, that's not true. What I told him, I said, yeah, there's certainly something you could do to help me as I'm trying to promote my career library that's going around across the nation. If you could just maybe post about that would be great, and that would help me out. And so ending just that simple really connects you more to that person. Is there anything I can do for you, Edgar, at the end of the day? And then that really comes across that pure intent type of situation.
Definitely, Zach. If I can add one other thing to
Go
that,
ahead.
it really reminds me of a quote that I heard someone say, and I think this is where some, especially college students, may feel like, okay, well, I don't really have anything to offer them, like you mentioned. But somebody mentioned something. I heard a statement one time that said there may not be equal giving, but it can be equal sacrifice. And so, meaning that, yes, you may not be able to give me a job like I can give you a job, but what you can do, there are other things that you may be able to do for me. So the sacrifice, just like, okay, a person that's a millionaire gives 100,000. I may not be able to give 100,000, but the $100 that I'm able to give is the same sacrifice for me. And so the equal is not equal giving, but it's equal sacrifice. And so just being able to offer someone your assistance, that was a great example, Zach. And you never know what needs a person has that you may be able to meet. So yes, I agree 100% with that.
Awesome. The next question that comes in, I've never written a resume or a cover letter before. Where in the world do I start?
There's a lot of templates online. I find it funny and fascinating that there's a lot of companies that will, write resumes for you and those things. But I tell students this, where people are paying $300, $400 to get a resume done or whatever the price is, career services is there for you at your school that I used to say, hey, this is a free benefit for you, but I started to kind of retweet that and say you are paying tuition. so there is some payment there, but it's included in. So utilize those services. That's the first place that I always tell people to go to is career, especially for students or alumni. Go to your career services because they're there to assist you in that way. But not only that, career services has connections with organizations. And so that's the first place you can start. But what I love about the career services, representatives and administration that I've worked with, they would always bring in the professionals to say, hey, we've helped them with the foundation, but we would love for them to get feedback from someone that is actually doing hiring or that's actually in the industry. So what they may be able to do from there is help you get the foundation. And then once you let them know your interest, they can connect you with professionals, recruiters, hiring managers that may be in an organization that you will look to work for or in an industry you're looking to work for. And now you can get help from someone that's in that industry that can help you perfect it in the way that it needs to look for that particular company or that particular organization. So I think that's a great way for college students. Start out with the foundation. You can look online, you can look at templates, get something, present it to your career services, have them to help you tweak it and get it in the right format. and then ask them, are they able to connect you with business professionals in that industry? So now you can get a firsthand look from someone that works in that industry or at that organization. Then they can take a look at it and help you really perfect it in a way that it will make you competitive for an opportunity in their company.
You know, Edgar, I know you'll know this saying because of our age is a broken record, and basically, you know, repeating things. And I guess now it's a broken iPhone with a podcast on it. But I say this all the time to students is that I've been consistent. Get into those career centers as a freshman, network with them. They are your friend. You are paying for that service. Those are licensed career coaches a lot of the times. They're there for you. And guess where employers, when they step foot on a campus, what building are they going to go to look for college students? The Career Center. So that's exactly where they need to plug into, especially, not sure the age of this particular question, but if you are in high school and you ask that question, there's also what they call a guidance counselor. A lot of times they can help guide you in that process if you are looking for a part-time job, or maybe you're getting a job right out of high school. They can help you with that process as well. Like Edgar said, there's tons of templates online, but I would definitely seek some professional guidance from them, because one time I had a student come to me and he had the 15-page resume as a senior in college. And yeah. And so obviously, you know, me and you probably teach the 1-page rule for any college student. So just little things like that. You might see a template online, but he was following a CEO's template. And, you know, so it's kind of unique there. You got to be a little bit careful.
Definitely.
Next question comes in from, looks like someone already in the career field in the corporate world. They said they want to transition out of their current industry into a new one, but it seems to be very, very difficult because A, they don't have the expertise, or B, they don't have the relationships. What advice do you have to someone trying to get out of their current industry and break into a brand new industry?
Yeah, so it can be challenging, and right now in this current environment, it has gotten even more challenging, just due to the fact of there's a lot of people, you know, due to COVID, unfortunately, that lost their jobs. And so within that, now you have a lot more people that are in the market for opportunities that are coming in with a lot of experience, right? And so competing against people that already have experience that are looking for a job opportunity when you're trying to pivot to another opportunity, it can be very challenging. So I don't want to minimize that at all. But what I would say is there are skills and experiences that you probably have that are transferable over maybe into the industry that you're looking to go into. So let's not minimize those and see how we can highlight those for that different opportunity that you're looking to pivot into and transition into. So the first thing is knowing what are the competencies and skills and experiences that they're looking for. So now we can start to pull out maybe some of the things that we've done in the past in our previous roles and make sure that we're pulling those out because we know that those match those opportunities. Then the next thing is we do want to start building relationships and, you know, making those networking connections. And so there's no way around that. Right. So that's not just going to magically appear like today I don't have any, but then all of a sudden without me doing any work, I already have relationships and networking. So you're going to have to get out there. You're going to have to build those, start with the networking. I always say networking can get you to the door. Relationship building can get you in the door. So you want to start building up those networking opportunities and start transitioning into those relationships for them to be able to help guide you into those opportunities. So I think the statistic right now is about 80 to 85% of people that are getting hired, it comes from networking opportunities. And so what that does is, even though you may not be, you know, the most qualified, but if you have experiences and skills that are transferable over, allow someone to be able to help you to highlight that on the resume, which gets you to the door, right? The networking opportunities can bring you a little bit further along. And now with the relationships, you have an advocate that's in the organization that knows a little bit more about you, that may say, hey, on paper, yes, they may not be the most competitive, but I've spent time with this person. I know their character. I know what they bring to the table. I know that they can do this job. So now you have someone that's on the inside that is advocating for you as well. So when you're looking to make that pivot, don't just leave it up to, hey, I'm just going to put together a great resume. That's one part of it, but you also need to make sure that you have someone advocating for you that can speak to maybe some of the things that you may be missing out on, that on paper may not make you look like the best candidate, but they know you and they know what you bring to the table and they know that you can do the job successfully. Now you couple that with the skills and experiences that you bring, and hopefully that will help you get that opportunity and get in the door.
Great advice. I was talking to somebody the other day who was selling construction equipment and they want to take that and they want to go into software sales for Google. So that's obviously a very competitive job, very hard to get
Yes.
the job. Well, you do have the sales experience, but what do you know about software? What classes have you taken on software? What certifications do you have? Have you met with somebody from Google? Have you
Right.
picked their brain from like you're saying, have you linked in with a company? Have you reached out to anybody from the company? Just so simply applying to difficult to get jobs is probably not going to get the job done, especially when you don't have the experience. But what can you be doing to get yourself there? And does it have to be Google? Why can't we do software sales for another company? And then as we get that experience, we move in. If that's your passion, your ultimate goal is to work for Google, what software could you be selling at small companies? And how do we get you into that? What educations, what certifications? So there's a lot of things that you can be doing to really advance your own career development. So I really appreciate that, Edgar. Now, let's say somebody is listening to this and they want to work with you from a career coaching standpoint. They're interested in following your work. Where can they best find you at?
I'm active on LinkedIn, very active there. And I have a website, edgarbutlerjr.com. You can, connect with me there. I'm very open. Like the number that's on my website, the number that you'll see on LinkedIn, that's my personal number. I don't, I'm not a big time person to where I need to filter out calls and those type of things. Like I'm gonna answer the phone. I love connecting with people. Like I'm a relationship person. I'm a relational person. And so just even outside of the work that I do, I just love connecting with people, great people that have an interest in just wanting to grow and be the best version of themselves. And so I'm available probably any and everywhere. I'm not hard to find, but I would definitely say LinkedIn is probably the place that I'm the most active on. So you can definitely find me there.
And guys, I get this question a lot. Is like, well, who do I link in with on LinkedIn? Well, first of all, I always tell you to link in with your inner circle and find that, your family, your neighbors, your aunts, your friends, your friends' moms, neighbors. You start with that network. But then you can come right to the show and you've got two people that are saying, connect with me on LinkedIn. And so there's never any excuse. There's tons and tons of people to connect with. It's all about activity, being professional on there. Edgar, I was seeing the other day, a student started commenting a lot with negative things about things. And that's the exact opposite you want to portray. This is not Facebook where we're trying to air out our differences and all that stuff. You really want to treat LinkedIn as a professional networking site. Positive energy. You come off with negative vibes, you're going to get negative things, and that means you're not going to get responses. So just keep that in mind as you navigate that platform as well.
And you never know who's watching, right? On LinkedIn or anywhere on any of these social media sites, you never know who's watching. And so even though you may feel like, man, my network is small and I can put this out and nobody's really going to see it, you never know who's going to come across that and what kind of message that's going to send to them.
Absolutely. Well, Edgar, I really appreciate your time. I think you brought succinct information. This has been great for me and my audiences. A lot of good questions that came in. We really do appreciate it. We know you're a busy professional doing your side hustle as well as your talent acquisition job. So thank you so much for coming on and giving back to our audience with your insights.
Thank you so much, Zach. Congratulations on the new opportunity that you have. I know there's going to be a lot of people, a lot of students are definitely going to benefit from that. So great job there. Continue to do what you're doing because it's definitely a benefit and a help to others. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Have a great day.
You as well.